E aí, pessoal, sejam todos bem-vindos a Amigo Gringo Responde na sexta-feira. Uma notícia um pouco ruim, vocês conhecem meu cabeleireiro, né, o João Secadoria. Ele quebrou hoje, então eu inventei outro estilo para vocês. Não sei se vocês vão gostar, pode me dizer nos comentários. Mas não vamos falar mais de mim, vamos falar do diretor de Amigo Gringo Responde, o holograma do Eric!
Parabéns para Sete, ei! Parabéns para Sete, ei!
Oh, Eric, você lembrou, que legal. Nossa, não é um pouco chato que eu preciso trabalhar no meu aniversário? Mas eu faço esse sacrifício pelos meus fãs, né? Qualquer coisa pelos meus fãs.
Sete. Atenção, todo mundo sabe que você não apresenta Amigo Gringo Responde no mesmo dia que vai no ar. Sempre gravamos alguns dias antes. É por isso que hoje não é seu aniversário, seu puto babaca!
Olha, eu não concordo com você, Eric. Vamos perguntar ao público pessoal. Meu aniversário é o 29 de maio. E hoje é 29 de maio ou não é? Aham. Ok, bom, preciso ligar para o Dan, professor do Cambly, para ver se ele acerta no desafio de hoje. Ele adora ajudar os brasileiros com a pronúncia de inglês e vamos ver hoje se ele entende como o brasileiro pronuncia uma marca comum no Brasil e também nos Estados Unidos. Eric, por que você está escovando os dentes?
Porque a palavra do dia é Colgate. Duh.
Ah, exato. Então vocês sabem quem está precisando de aulas de inglês ou mais conversa em inglês com falantes nativos. O Dan é um professor do Cambly. Vocês poderiam falar com ele ou com um dos, sei lá, milhões de professores que eles têm ao redor do mundo. E com o código que está aparecendo aqui. Vocês ganham uma aula grátis. Ou usar o link na descrição, clicar, baixar o aplicativo do Cambly e é automático, nem precisa lembrar do código. Ok, vamos lá. Dan, você está por aí? Dan, vou conectar pelo Cambly.
Seth, it's nice to see you on this special occasion. If I remember correctly, is it your birthday?
What? How did you remember?
Mind like a steel trap.
Yeah, well, we found out before that we're both 1 meter 81, so maybe we have that mental connection going because our brains are the same distance from the ground.
Maybe that's what it is. Almost like twins.
Okay, ready for the word of the day? I think that living in Mexico will be an advantage for you because the Mexicans also pronounce this somewhat similarly. Ready? Colgate.
That's Colgate.
Yes! Good work. How do they pronounce that in Mexico?
In Mexico, they said Colgate.
Okay, now explain to us how to pronounce it correctly in English.
Colgate. Colgate. Again, two syllables because of two vowel sounds. You have the O, col, which is no problem. Mm-hmm. I know Brazilians with their J sound, but it's Colgate. Mm-hmm. And the reason it's Colgate, the silent E on the end actually does have a purpose, because if that E didn't exist, that product would be called Colgate. The E on the end, the silent E, its purpose is to modify the sound of the vowel that comes before it. So it's Colgate without an E, which doesn't exist, just to be clear, Colgate with the E.
Okay, cool. Now, just for fun, what's the full name of the company?
Colgate Palmolive.
Oh, Colgate Palmolive in Portuguese. Né? But wait a minute, in English, it's Palmolive. Why is it not Palmolive? The silent E at the end should change the pronunciation of the I.
That's a good point. I guess you could say that's an exception. That word L-I-V-E, it could be live or live. If it's live, it's a verb.
And if it's live, it's an adjective, like live TV. English is so weird. Anyway, Dan, it's been great talking to you this month. I hope we'll have you back in a few months.
See you, Seth.
Ok, a pergunta do dia é de Iago César, que perguntou: Amigo gringo, recentemente o Brasil teve sua moeda muito desvalorizada e abriu facilidades para turistas americanos, mas ainda temos poucas visitas dos seus compatriotas. O que mais podemos fazer para merecer mais turistas americanos depois do final da pandemia? Olha, Thiago, normalmente eu diria: uau, que legal! Uma pergunta bem complexa na minha área turismo. E falando de um problema que me frustra também, eu vou fazer um vídeo de 15 minutos falando de tudo o que eu acho. Mas você teve que fazer essa pergunta do dia do meu aniversário? Você poderia ter tido um pouco mais consideração? Que tal uma pergunta fácil, tipo, Seth, você gosta de farofa? Ou qual país tem a maior população, o Brasil ou o Vaticano? Ou talvez qual país vai arrasar na Copa do Mundo em 2022? Estados Unidos, obviamente, USA, USA, USA.
Só que não!
Hã?
Só que não! Só que não!
Bom, Eric, peraí. Eu disse arrasar, e arrasar é subjetivo para nós, nos Estados Unidos. Chegar às quartas de final é arrasar. Isso que eu estava dizendo, e realmente eu acho que isso é bem possível, ou bem um pouco possível. Bom, de qualquer forma, eu realmente não tenho energia de responder a sua pergunta hoje. Mas não se preocupe, porque quando Eric, Tim e eu estávamos no Brasil ano passado, tivemos uma conversa no carro sobre exatamente esse tópico. Porque tão poucos turistas dos Estados Unidos visitam o Brasil. Você lembra, Eric?
Ah, que dias maravilhosos, quando eu não estava holograma.
Olha, o problema existe mesmo. O Brasil atrai poucos turistas estrangeiros, ou pelo menos considerando o tamanho do país, e bem poucos americanos, com exceção do Carnaval e do Réveillon no Rio. E falamos disso. Olha, a conversa foi em inglês, mas quem precisa das legendas pode ativar em inglês ou em português, ou pode tentar assistir sem legendas. Nossa, que saudade de viajar para o Brasil. Espero poder visitar vocês antes do meu próximo aniversário. Vamos, Eric!
Vamos lá!
Okay, roda o vídeo. All right, big question. Why do so few Americans visit Brazil?
You know this? I heard this statistic today. There's 2 million Brazilians that go to the United States per year. How many Americans come here? How do you think?
200,000?
25,000.
50,000.
50,000? Oh my God.
That's a deficit.
That's a big deficit.
That's a trade deficit.
And of course, there's more Americans with enough money to travel to Brazil.
Yes. So why don't they come?
I think one problem is Americans don't know what they're missing.
It's
Right.
true.
That, to me, it's insane that anyone would go to these cheesy resorts when you have real places in Brazil that are awesome.
That's true. But I think there's different segments too. Like there's some people that just want the resorts.
Actually, I take it back. It's not that the resorts are bad. It's just that they're missing out on some of the best stuff.
One of the first problems with Brazil is the distance, right?
Yeah, like a lot of the, especially the Northeast, a lot of the beaches that you want to visit are maybe an hour or two from the big cities. So yeah, like I mean, you can go to Fortaleza and get a really nice beach in the city, but most people want to go to a place like Jericoacoara, and there's not a lot of information to get them there.
And you have to go to Fortaleza, first of all. I think maybe once in a while there's a flight maybe from Orlando or Miami to the Northeast, but most of the flights are going to Sao Paulo and Rio.
So that's the problem. How do we get them to see that it's worth it to do that, right?
There's like structural problems like flights,
Yeah.
but that's like we were saying, that's like a chicken or the egg. Like they will create more flights
When there's more
people want to
tourists, but there won't be more tourists until there are more flights.
go. Yeah.
You know what, though? Even for places that are harder to get to, there's still trendiness. And you can make Brazil more trendy.
Yeah.
For sure.
What about a regional tourism thing like Salvador, probably one of the least visited big cities in Brazil for Americans, should have its own thing. Come to Salvador, Afro-Brazilian culture, great spicy food, great beaches.
I think that's right, because Brazil is too big.
General.
It's a big idea.
Brazil, love it or what is it? Love it or leave it? No, love us.
Love it or farofa.
Visit and love us.
Love us. I think people are attracted to history. People are history, beaches, and food. If you could put those three things together.
I think, I mean, not to be cliche, not to be repetitive, but the best thing about Brazil is the people.
Right.
I think, like, I've been to many places, and you don't get as many interesting interactions in other places as you get in Brazil. Like, I'm not talking bad about any other country, but I haven't like had as much fun talking to random strangers in any other country.
But how do you communicate that to Americans?
And also, is it as true if you don't speak Portuguese?
I feel like they try to understand you. I think maybe guided tours might be a good thing. Real joy of tourism is the experience, the authentic experience. But it's kind of hard to get that when you just go there without speaking the language. So maybe like guided tours, or I don't know. It's a good question. What are your thoughts?
I think that a huge PR, not stunt, but event that like sort of, okay, so I think that Brazil had the Olympics and they had the World Cup. Those things could have done what still needs to be done. So I think they need a big PR win, but it should be like what the Olympics should have been. So for example, you think about like Mission Impossible, the movie being in Dubai, or you think about even Iceland right now. Iceland's really trendy, and Iceland is trendy partially because of the volcano eruption.
Also because of the flights. They did a big flight thing.
That's exactly right.
They made that the stopover. So if you can figure out a way to make more flights, okay, they already got rid of the visa. If the price goes down somehow, more people go. That's how economics work.
And once you get here, it's much cheaper for Americans.
It's much cheaper.
So they should know that for sure. But Americans, it's
Yeah,
cheaper.
that's a good part of the whole plan. 4 to 1.
4 to 1.
That could be
4 times cheaper.
That could be the slogan. 4 to 1.
4 times more fun.
4 to 1. 4 times more
4 times
fun.
Well, let's tackle the elephant in the room, though. What about the idea that Brazil is very dangerous?
Well, I think there's a common sense rule. Like you solve most problems with common sense. Like you shouldn't be hanging a selfie stick iPhone in the middle of the bus station like Eric did.
But a lot of Americans don't know that, by the way.
I think common sense saves you 99% of the way. 95.
Well, I think something we have to admit, regardless, and something Americans should know, is that there are challenges in coming here.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not for everyone.
And so,
it shouldn't be, but
Well,
it should be for more than 50
well, but I
Brazil, it's not for everyone.
no, but I think
4
that,
times the fun though.
but I think that's why the PR stunt and the all the publicity that we do has to be really great, and that way you want to overcome the obstacles, because the obstacles are, it's a long flight, and you got to be a little careful.
New question. What are the places in Brazil besides Salvador that we think we can sell? All you're really selling now is Rio and the Amazon.
Ouro Preto,
Ouro Preto.
Minas Gerais.
Just Minas in general, right?
I think Floripa, is already a good
Floripa,
one,
yeah.
but it's really the perfect island for someone who wants to get to know Brazil. It's not dangerous. It has like maybe 30, 40 different beaches, and they're all different.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a huge like surfer, hippie culture. It also has right next to Balneário Camboriú, which is really like the Dubai of Brazil. So I think for someone who's kind of hesitant, that's a good like taste. That's a good taste of Brazil.
And what about as like a gateway? Just, if tourists are only going to Rio, what if you start by just pushing them into Ilha Grande, Paraty, like get into Rio State a little bit, some of the other stuff that's not just Rio?
The Batata de Marachão.
Batata de Marachão, come to Brazil!
Governo brasileiro, vocês querem economizar milhões de reais no custo do SUS, saúde pública, só proibir isso. Uma sacola de plástico de coisas fritas. Somos gringos. Você conhece muitos gringos? What about, Minas? But how do we get people to Minas? Ouro Preto?
Ouro
That
Preto
should
is
be
a pretty unique experience that I think is pretty easy to sell. Any kind of religious person. There's so many religious
religious
destinations that
destinations.
Ouro
That's great.
Preto is not really thought of as one. Like, how many people do the Way of St. James, the Camino de Santiago?
Santiago.
I mean, I don't know anyone.
Santiago de Compostela.
Yeah. Minas is like a great religious tourism destination.
And of course it has the food.
Brazil has such good food, but internationally it's not known.
And maybe comida mineira can somehow become a thing.
I think Amazon could also really do some interesting things with like food on the international scene. I mean, everyone eats acai, but they don't even know how to say it, and they don't know it's from Brazil. Oh, I love this acai smoothie. It's so
Acai.
good. What about Parintins? There's that's
yeah.
a huge festival in the Amazon. What about Barretos, which is like the biggest rodeo in the world? And, like fishing too. Like besides ecotourism, you could promote fishing. Like there's so many. I don't like fishing, but there are so many people that love fishing, and I think Brazil has.
Also, nobody has heard of the Pantanal, basically.
Yeah.
Here's another way in. is through the music. One of the best things Brazilians do is music. And what's so crazy to me is that you have all these genres. Like, sure, we know samba and we know bossa nova, but
We don't know samba.
but we know it exists. But you come in, like, I've only just now discovered forró, sertanejo. Texas would be a huge market for sertanejo. I mean, the language thing.
The language thing, I think, would be too big.
True, but so you have to get past it, right? So maybe you get some of the big stars to sing sertanejo in
I think
English.
crossovers.
Like Michel Tello tried to do his song in English.
No,
right?
but it shouldn't be that. It should be the guy singing in Portuguese with an American singer.
Oh, yeah, that's
a
good.
crossover. I
That's
just don't
good.
know how
Right,
well
so
the
half-
Texas people would go with a foreign language. I'm not sure. I'm not nothing against
Well,
that.
that's a barrier against Americans. We have a hard time.
It was a complaint during the World Cup from a lot of people. When I asked the tourists in the Salvador Stadium, how you like in Brazil? They're like, we love it. How do you like the people? We love it. How do you like the sights? We love it. How do you like the food? We love it. Do people speak English? No, not at all. They still had a great time.
Right.
But obviously, and there are now, of course, everyone's English is getting better. You can learn English
They
on,
must
I
be
don't know,
watching Tim Expedia.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's all these opportunities, but it's something that people need to stress. Like, if you own the hotel, if you own the resort, let's get people speaking English well, test their English.
That's another chicken and the egg situation because
Right.
like you have to pay more and you have to get more foreign tourists.
Right.
You want people that speak English, they're going to demand a higher salary. So everything's a chicken and the egg.
Right, that's
but also
true.
I think maybe if the government's really serious, they have to invest in tourism. Like, can't just hope it works.
But as a filmmaker and entertainer, we need to do to Americans what Americans have done to Brazilians, which is paint this image, right? Paint this picture. Think about what Disney did, right? In Orlando and New York and like Friends. There's in the whole world, there's this idea of America and you're going to go there and it's going to be great. And this is through the media.
Right.
So I do think there needs to be like maybe definitely movies and TV that are Brazil centric, that really sell Brazil. They just make it this magical place that you want to go to. America's not like magical or terrible. It's complicated. But if you
Just
want,
like Brazil.
if you want, you can find magic.
Yeah.
So for me, it would be so easy, given what's here, to sell a picture of like Brazil is magical. You could sell that so easily. With,
So much to sell. There's
Oh
so much to
my
sell.
God.
Go from Lençóis Maranhenses to Parintins Festival, to Rio beaches, to Sao Paulo nightlife,
I
to
just think-
Comida Mineira, to Ouro Preto.
I think like Hollywood is one of the problems. Like
Hollywood is one of the
It
problems.
just tells such a simple, like, bare bones story that okay, Brazilians, what are Brazilians? Okay, let's put that. That's Brazil. Instead of
it's
like,
either sex
actually-
or violence.
yeah,
like there's
yeah.
nothing else. Or
Yeah.
football.
There's so much to do, but there's so much potential. And one thing I think all three of us have in common, we try to show Brazil in a good light.
It's an easy sell. To me, Brazil is an easy sell. And so it's insane that it's not being sold better.
Are we optimistic?
I'm super optimistic. I think that Brazil is about to have its time as a top tourist destination. I hope the gringos don't ruin my experience though.
It's like, come, but not too many.
Tim, there's enough Pound Queijo for everybody.
Okay.